Hello, sunshine. Welcome back to the Gold Biz Podcast with me, your host, Rachel Trexler. If you're anything like me, or at least just being a photographer in 2025, you've kind of thought about, or at least the idea has kind of come into your mind of what can I do to add video? How can I incorporate video into my services? And how can I kind of be a package deal and bundle things together? This is a really good episode for you because I have with me Shayna Lloyd, and she is a wedding videographer and also a photographer. So she's a hybrid shooter herself. She knows what it takes to kind of like shoot video and photo and adding video on and helping you like kind of set yourself apart there, which is my intention of this episode. I want you to be able to feel confident that if you wanted to add it on video, no matter what that looks like, if it's just with your phone, if it's with your camera, if it's as an add-on service, if it's like a whole package, I kind of want you to think about that and have the tools to maybe get started with that. So that's kind of my intention with this episode. But before we dive in, because this is a really good one, make sure to pull up your notes, leave a 5-star review. And without further ado, let's get started. Let's dive into it because we got a lot to get into.
Hey, hi, Rachel.
Yay. Hi, Shayna. I'm so excited to have you here. Round 2. This is the second
Round
time you've been on the
2.
podcast.
I know, and it's been a million years.
It feels like it, doesn't it? Well, I'm excited just to have you back because I feel like things have maybe changed or shifted, and we're just going to talk about like what adding video could look like for photographers, whether that be like all in or simple, or like I'm excited to just kind of hear what you have to say with things because I do feel like I have people asking me like, I want to do this, or how do I do this, or we even just see like how much, I don't know, it's just so beneficial because I feel like clients want both, but like affording both sometimes is a lot. And so sometimes if you can combine your services and offer a little bit, that's like will give you kind of like a different leg up, a different like approach that way. So I'm excited to hear what you kind of have to say for just like diving right into it. Like, what do you feel like are some ways that photographers just can start off by like offering video or adding video?
I appreciate your audience looking into this, first of all. Like, I love that they're going to you to like feel out if this is possible. And that's why I'm here today is to like cut to it and say it is possible. If you're like
Cool.
wanting to like scale up your offers as a photographer, you're wanting to upsell video to increase the value of each client, which is a much easier way to scale than to get
Yes.
new clients in the
Yes.
first place. What you're going to want to do is try to figure out how to upsell things that are valuable to your client, but are within your set of interests and your ability to deliver well. As a photographer listening to this, I know your audience, Rachel, like it's a lot of like up and coming photographers who are like getting established in the industry. Like at this point, if they're listening to you, they're around that 100K mark, fair enough?
Yes. I mean, they're getting there.
Yes. Okay. So we're like well on our way to being full-time photographers. So you don't need to be babied through how to upsell or like what the value is of increasing the value of each client. I think what happens when we want to add a new creative skill to our menu is we get so bogged down in the things that might be hard or scary, like the technical aspect, the time cost of learning how to edit video, when really what I want you to do today is just to imagine what the simplest version of this upsell could be and why that would be valuable to your specific clients. So Rachel, I have to imagine that we have a lot of wedding photographers, right?
Yes, a lot of wedding photographers here in the audience.
I love it. And I want you to know this will work for literally any niche. But for today, if we're just zoning in on wedding photography,
Sure.
we need to think about the type of client who would want this simple video add-on that you're considering adding, and why they would prefer that over going with a full-scale, fully produced videography team. For a lot of clients, there's a multitude of reasons why they would love a simple highlight film add-on from you as their photographer. Can I go into those reasons?
Please, let's hear it.
Love it. So put yourself in your client's shoes, right? They are so excited to get married. They're obsessed with you and your photo style. They like the idea of video, but maybe they can't afford going into $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 extra dollars for a fully produced wedding film. So first of all, Rachel mentioned cost earlier, and that is absolutely valid. But on the other side, if you can add on a simple highlight film for them, or even video clips or iPhone content creation with video,
Mhm.
whatever is going to make sense for your workflow and your business, if you can add that on to them and add $1,000 or $2,000 to your overall sale, that's a win-win situation for both sides. That's you getting extra money infused into your business, and that's them getting this add-on they want, but they couldn't afford if they went with another
Mhm.
team. The second type of client loves your storytelling style and doesn't see it replicated in the videographers that they're looking into.
Mhm.
So there's so many types of photography that we don't need to get into. But Rachel, have you ever been in a situation as a photographer where the videographer there doesn't match your shooting style or your workflow during a wedding day?
Right, yeah, because I feel like everyone works so differently, and so
Totally.
sometimes, like, yeah, we're working really well together, and sometimes, like, yeah, like, not we'd have very different approaches, and it's like,
Yeah.
but the client doesn't know that when they're booking, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
you don't even know till the day of.
And then sometimes it is apparent in the final product. Like,
Mhm.
sometimes I know when I'm hired for video only and when an amazing photographer who's more traditional than I am, um, we look at each other and we're like, "That's so interesting that they, hired both of us when we're so
Yeah.
different."
Yes.
So from a client side, there's people who value your art and storytelling style so much that they want to see that same style and experience reflected in the final product of their video. So that would be
Mm,
another reason they would want you for the video upsell. And
yeah.
finally, there's clients who just really, really appreciate the convenience of having one point of contact with their media coverage team.
Mhm.
So whether you're deciding to do something like upselling a highlight film, a digital highlight film with the camera you're already using for photos, if you want to add on a point and shoot upsell like camcorder or Super 8, or if you want to go into iPhone content creation or all of the above, it is so attractive for your clients that they can get all of these things just from one place, and it's one less person to email and have contracts and deposits with.
Mhm. That is so, so appealing, especially as, like, they've got so much going on, and all of those things make so much sense. Like, it just makes sense to have it as an add-on offer, and so it's kind of like a no-brainer. Like, it's more so, like, logistically, like, now what? You know what I mean? Now, how do I not only and I'm a big fan of, like, the upsell too, so it's like, I'm curious how your thoughts are to, like, structure this within your pricing, whether you have an upfront package that offers it, and then maybe like through the nurture sequence have it offered as like an upsell later on if they change their minds. Like I do just feel like I don't know, it's easier for them because they've already invested you in you and trust you. It's easier to like offer add-ons to elevate their experience later on. So like
Mhm.
what is your like opinion on like the way like the best way you feel like to structure it in a pricing aspect to be like most profitable and stuff?
I know, because I know you and your beautiful business brain, and for your listeners as well. We understand the value of communicating what we do and what we offer, and what the experience is like with us in every touch point of how someone can find us, right?
Yes.
Um, so if we're starting from that first initial search, I think it's beautiful to come to be set up in a way that you come up when cold clients are looking for one-stop shops. So having that page on your website optimized for SEO that will come up when those types of clients are searching for you, that
Mhm.
would be step one. But then my yes and to that is having these video add-ons in your initial pricing guide when people are just inquiring about photography will pique people's interest. Um, and you're at an advantage in this way because people are looking for a photographer typically before they're looking for a videographer. You're one of
Right.
the first hires that a wedding
Mhm.
client is making for this big emotional and expensive thing that they're planning, right? Um, when people are going through your pricing guide and going through that journey, um, they're doing two things. They're trying to figure out if the overall experience and the deliverables that you provide align with what they're willing to spend and the experience they want to have for their wedding, right?
Mhm.
And then it's up to you as far as what your capacity is for video and what you're willing to do on how you structure putting that in your pricing guide. I've seen a lot of success with people putting these bundles really high up in their pricing guide, like early pages. So it's in people's mind, even if they end up going with photography later. I've also seen people feel more comfortable just fully having a photography pricing guide with add-ons tacked on in the later pages. That
Mhm.
is really up to you. And it's up to you to test and to see what actually converts. Like that's just being a business owner.
Mhm.
What I will say is, well, I love calling her a student because she turned into my friend and business partner. But one of my earliest students, Devin Larson, who's now my business partner for my education business, what she did was she had email sequences early on in her video add-on. She had it on Super 8, where every single time she had a new Super 8 video done, she would touch base with next year's photography clients and just super organically and excitedly said, "Look at this new video I just made. I think
Mhm.
this would look so good for your wedding. Let me know if you want to add it on." So building those upsells into your touch base process with your
Mhm.
booked clients is also super effective.
Yes, and then you don't have to go out and market new clients, like, you're just
Yes.
like, you're elevating the experience of the clients that you already have and, like,
Yes.
upselling in a sense, but it really just elevates, and I think that's such a good point, and I am even just thinking about, like, the students I work with too, it's like, everyone I'm gonna have a different answer to because it depends on what level of
Yes.
video are we talking? Are we talking very entry basic, like, just doing some content, iPhone content, or are we talking, like, a little like 1 to 2 minute, like, documentary, like, very raw looking video, or are we talking a little bit more production based? So, where and I think when it can be overwhelming thinking about, like, adding video because it's like, I'm a
Mhm.
photographer, I don't know video, I don't know if I wanna learn it, I don't know how to edit, I don't know how the settings to use, I don't know how to, like, back it up in the programs and all those things. It's like a whole other thing. So, I feel like that's overwhelming for photographers. Where do you suggest to kind of start?
I think that, oh, what a great question. What I would say is if you're, I mean, we're 11 minutes into this. If you're still listening to us yap about video, you're a little interested in upselling
Yes.
it, right?
Yes.
Um, so here's the thing. I I think it is easy to procrastinate by getting overwhelmed what you view as being techie or scary or overcomplicated. So what we need to do to see if this idea has legs and to see if you really want to continue forward with video upsells is to start with the simplest, most doable version of the idea. And for
Mhm.
most of that, that would be iPhone content
Yeah.
creation, iPhone video storytelling. And practicing in this way does double duty, right? We know we need iPhone video to engage in social content marketing in this market. The last time we talked, this is how fast things change. I don't think I would have been able to definitively say that a couple
Right.
years ago, Rachel.
Right. Right. I mean, things have changed and they've changed fast. Welcome to just a digital online,
Yes.
marketing business, like things change fast.
So it changes so fast. So we're thinking, okay, Shay, you want me to whip out my phone randomly? Like people have been saying this for years. How does this actually help me get prepared to
Yeah.
upsell video in my business? I think that's totally fair. So going forward, if I'm suggesting you practice video with your iPhone, what am I actually suggesting, Rachel? What I'm saying is that if we strip away all the technical worries and the how am I going to use my camera or should I buy a point and shoot
Mhm.
camera like a camcorder Super 8? If we strip all of that away and bring it back to story, then that is where we can get the good stuff and to figure out if we are able to fit this type of offer into our workflow. Can I lead you through a little exercise for how this is possible?
Sure. Yeah. Definitely. That'd be
Okay,
helpful.
amazing. So, what I would suggest when practicing video with your iPhone during a session is to not think so much about, oh no, I need to get random clips of video on my iPhone, but then to bring it back to what makes a full, complete feeling story with any video, whether it's 2 hours long, a full produced
Mhm.
movie, or whether it's just a reel that tells the story of somebody's day or tells the story of a scene. What we can do when we think about it is think about the function of each type of shot that we take. And this also bleeds over into our photography work. Like as photographers, even if we're not thinking of it this way, we understand on some level what each type of shot can do for our storytelling. For me, I've condensed this down into 5 very simple types of shots that if you're thinking story first, rather than panicking and just going shutter happy with your digital camera for photos, if we can take a step and prioritize those photos because that's the main offer you're getting paid for, but then take a second to think about, okay, a wide shot. What is that going to do if I can get a wide shot for photos and then a wide shot with my iPhone video? What will that do for the story? Well, a wide shot, it orients us in time, space, climate. It gives us all this information about the scene. And then I can think, okay, I'm getting this long shot with photos. I prioritize that. Can I take my phone and get a long shot, which has the subject in the scene we just established? So showing how they interact with that space. Can I do that with both mediums if I just take a beat? And then sorry, I got so excited I stopped breathing.
Take a breath.
Can we come in for those close-ups and remember what a close-up does, right? It's not just trying to have a dynamic photo gallery, which is beautiful, right? A close-up gives us information about the subject themselves, right? So we're learning more about their facial expressions, how their mouths move. We're learning like how the subject is actually feeling with that close-up. Then we get into details, right? So what does a detailed shot do? It rounds out that story of the subject by showing what their hands are doing. It's showing us like what jewelry they chose to adorn themselves with on this day. And then finally, we go into B-roll, which B-roll sounds really scary, right? But all B-roll is it's finishing up the story by showing what the subject is noticing around them. So if you get all of these shots, and even if it's 2 to 5 seconds each for each one on video, if you put those together, it is a full story.
Yeah, there's so much to that too. And it's like, I think, yeah, like every single angle and aspect is like it adds all together. And I think a lot of people just tend to kind of do one. And so then that's where they feel like the story's not like fully piecing together. So that is super helpful. And then also just like, I just want to think like logistically, because I don't know, like timeline wise and all of that stuff, like, and it's a lot of content to get. Like, do you personally, Shayna, do you do photo and video like on wedding days by yourself? Or do you hire a second shooter for like a photography? Do you hire a second person that just is focused on the video content? Like, what does that process look like for you to make sure that you're getting all the things?
Yes. So it totally depends on the client and the wedding. I have had some weddings and micro weddings where the difference maker for making that sale was accommodating both photo and video with a set budget. And I have no problem saying, I'm willing to do that if you let me hybrid shoot it by myself. Here's what you can expect with me hybrid shooting by myself a photo video wedding. That means less photos in your gallery. That means a prioritization for the most part of time-sensitive moments on photo versus video. I'm at the point though, what I can produce by myself is not what I'm suggesting for a new hybrid shooter to do. I would say like clarity is kindness, communication is key with making sure you can produce the deliverables that you're promising. So if you're adding on a really simple highlight film, say you're doing it like me, so you're doing a digital highlight film with the camera you're already using for photos. To me, that looks like telling the client they cannot expect time-sensitive moments. In this practicing phase, I would suggest not promising audio, so not messing with external mics. At this point, what I'm suggesting is you're offering an elevated slideshow in movement. So everyone's remembering their day in movement. They get this beautiful add-on that they wouldn't have been able to afford with someone else, and you get more money infused in your business. You mentioned logistically too, how doing that by yourself can be overwhelming. I think that's totally fair. What I would say to that is how many times have we gotten so shutter happy that we have 50 or 60 photos of the exact same pose?
Right.
All I'm suggesting is taking that beat, composing your shot well with photo, even get 10 frames, I don't care. It's toggling over to video and getting those solid 5 to 10 seconds on video that you would have been clicking that shutter for anyway, if we're being totally honest, photographer
Right.
friends.
Right.
In my business, back to that question, sorry. When I do have more of a high ticket, upscale, like more produced photo video wedding, we do a 2-person team. For moments during the day where I'm separated from that assistant, they're hybrid shooting, I'm hybrid shooting. Time sensitive events like a ceremony, I typically prioritize photo, they typically prioritize video.
Sure. Okay. That makes sense then too. So you got to communicate that and make sure that like one is prioritizing one over the other, and then
Yes.
any extra just the opposite. Okay. That's really good to know. And then like what gear are you using? Are you using your same camera, just flipping?
Yeah, yeah. No, I keep everything as simple as humanly possible. So I'm just on a couple of Canon R6s for most of the day.
Okay. And so then my question is when you're doing like the R6, like when you're just flipping between photo and video on your camera and you're shooting horizontal then, right?
Yes.
So you're doing horizontal, and then are you doing any well, you specifically are doing a little bit more of a higher elevated video, but someone who's just starting, I guess even like where I get hung up is like if I'm doing some on my phone, I'm gonna do some vertical, but then if I'm doing it on my camera, it's horizontal. It's like horizontal. Which do you prioritize? Do you do vertical or do you do horizontal?
On my camera, it tends to always be horizontal. Um, and then on my phone, I keep it vertical. To me, we're getting to the point where people's home movies, their memories are vertical, right?
Yeah.
So if you're delivering content creation or in your practicing phase, if you're practicing on your iPhone, I say keep it simple, keep it to what people are used to seeing. Um, and the only way you find your style and what works for you is by innovating. I can give you a menu of what I do, and I do so happily. I love an innovator. I love a messy action taker and someone that does something weird and exciting
Yeah.
that works for them and their business, and their clients love it.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just kind of, I guess it'll depend on what you're offering. Are you doing content creation or are you doing like a video?
Yeah, and
What
not
are
to blow
some,
your
like,
mind, but it's absolutely doable to do all 3 at the same time.
right. I mean, like, it's a lot, but it's something that can be doable for sure if you kind of
Totally.
figure that out and get like this good system. But like, what are your camera settings on your camera then when you have for video? Because I feel like
Yes.
that's where like photographers get overwhelmed of like, they don't know the settings to use for video.
Okay. First of all, I want to take everyone back to their baby businesses when you were learning photography. And it might have felt overwhelming then too. You're like an exposure triangle. Okay, I kind of get that an f-stop, the higher this number is, like the more people will be in focus. Like going back to like me figuring out camera settings, I remember feeling a little embarrassed that like, okay, I'm starting to kind of get what these numbers mean, but I still feel like a fraud because it's not perfect. But then you practice and practice and practice. And then eventually it starts to feel easy. And maybe you still don't know what aperture does, but you know when you move the numbers a certain way that it ends up working out. I'm being a little silly, but like we know that practicing and taking this messy action leads to amazing results, and you'll eventually love your work and get more comfortable. As an established photographer, all of you listening to this, I know you know how to take a beautiful photo, and you're already miles and miles into your journey of knowing your camera settings. With video, it's just knowing a couple more rules that eventually you will end up breaking because it's not that serious. We're making things for a living. So, what I would say is, you can keep your video settings really similar to what your camera settings are. What I will say is if you're hybrid shooting, it's likely you're not shooting raw video. It's likely you're more shooting like a flat video profile, like an MP4 that is a smaller file that would be harder to do, like more of a produced video than if you were just doing video, right? So I wouldn't underexpose the way a lot of photographers like to do with their photos. I would try to keep like skin as true as possible with your settings. The extra setting I would keep in mind is going into your camera settings and looking into if you're shooting 4K or HD video. I I mean it really depends on what you're promising. I think a lot of the times it's super appropriate to deliver an HD video and then you're not like filling up your cards like crazy with 4K. It just depends on what you're going for. The other thing I would keep in mind is shutter speed. So your shutter speed, you're going to want that to be, um, I mean, there's massive rules. It's like 2 times the amount of your aperture or something. But the rules are meant to be broken. To me, it's like messy action is more important than learning like the mathy shutter speed rules. You'll figure out it makes more sense to like have a lower shutter in tungsten light, for example. Like that's when you see like banding with like
Yeah.
tungsten light and
Yeah.
having like too fast of a shutter. It's really similar if you have a flash on during photos. So to me, I would say don't stress the tech, just start playing.
Sure. So like what's like one setting that you're like, yeah, a lot of people just don't understand or don't get, but it's just like you should have it at like this.
The one setting that I see people fumbling with a little is setting their frame rate lower, which I think is
Yeah.
appropriate a lot of the time. But then with a lower frame rate, you can't slow it down in post without it looking choppy. So
Okay.
if you
Right.
have your frame rate at like that 20, 24 frames per second, that's similar to what our eyes are seeing in real life. So if you think
Mhm.
about it, you can't slow that down. Like there's not enough frames. Think about making a GIF. If there's not like enough frames in a GIF, it looks really choppy.
Yeah.
If you set that frame rate to at least 60 frames per second, so it just means more photos in that GIF to make it smoother, then you're able to slow it down in post.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. That's just a good little like tip for people to remind and just kind of keep in mind. So that's awesome. What's just like one action you think someone could take today if they wanted to start doing video?
The one action you could take today is to go pick up your iPhone and go practice with the video of your iPhone. The thing is like you're going to shoot what you share. I know we've all like seen that advice for years, but if you just start storytelling with the equipment you have and start posting it, people are going to see that you have an interest in this medium and an eye for telling story with video.
Yeah, that's perfect, and that's good too, and then that way, you probably feel more confident in adding it into your packages or maybe going to past clients and saying, "Hey, I have this new add-on offer I'm going to try like, going to start doing. Do you wanna add it on?" And, like, another thing, just if you want more if you want like, as you're practicing, if you wanna add it as an offer, just go back to either your current brides, your current clients, your ones for next year, and just add it as an offer, as an add-on, and just, you gotta start somewhere with that too. So that would be something that you could probably do too as you're practicing.
Agreed. I think free portfolio building work is beautiful. And the easiest way to get that quantity and that practice is just by offering a free little mini video to your clients if they tell you they're not planning on hiring a videographer.
Yes. Yeah, and I've even done that too, and then they're like, "Okay, we can you do a little video at our wedding now too?" I'm like, "Sure."
Yes.
So that's
I love
fun.
it.
Yes, it is definitely a good place to start. Well, this is awesome, Shayna. This is such good insight and just something good to think about and how to apply it into like our current clients as an upsell and as an additional offer just to elevate the experience and just kind of set you apart too and make you kind of stand out and combining offers and all that stuff to just kind of help you set up. So I love that. I always love to ask and end my episodes with asking, what is currently bringing you joy?
Mhm. What's currently bringing me joy
Yeah.
is we just moved to a cabin that
Oh
is
my
about
God.
a 30-second walk from the lake.
Stop.
And
Oh, I'm so jealous.
I get to walk my little babies down as often as they want to throw rocks in the water.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that would bring me a lot of joy if I but you are so lucky. I
I
love
am for
that.
sure.
I love that. Well, that's awesome. Well, why don't you tell everyone where we can find you?
Yes. So you can find me on all the places at Hey Thriver. That is my education business that I share with photographer and Super 8 videographer Devin. We're on Instagram at Hey Thriver. Our podcast is Hey Thriver, website heythriver.com.
Love that. Yay. Well, thank you so much, Sheena. This was amazing. Love to have you on.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, love you, Rachel. Thanks.
You're the best. All right. Well, I hope that that was helpful for you, kind of inspired you to see how you can add video into your offers and services and see if it's something that you want to do and hopefully make you feel like it's doable. I can start small. I can just kind of see how things go, add on new offers, and get creative with it too. So I really hope that this was helpful for you and that you've loved this episode. So if you do, make sure to screenshot it and share it to your stories and tag me at Rachel Traxler so I can see which episodes you're loving and then also share the love in return. But thank you so, so much for listening today. I appreciate you so much. And as always, keep shining and we'll see you next time.